Hey guys, let's start that over again. Okay. Um, well, as I was saying, when you couldn't hear me, my name's Caitlin. Welcome back. On Tuesday, I made a really fun spring garden themed card with Copic coloring and some dry embossing, and I absolutely love it. So I didn't want to stop the spring garden feelings that we had the other night. So I decided that we're going to do another garden today, but this one we're going to do with some heat embossing. So, oh my gosh, Jay, that has happened to me too at work where you're like full on presentation, a good 5, 10 minutes in, and then you realize no one can hear you. So I appreciate you all jumping into the comments. To prep my card, because I'm sure that as much as you want to hear me talk, you don't want to hear my heat gun. I did do some prep work. So this is the card base we're going to be building onto. We're going to do one more flower over here, but I want you to see, there we go, and the sparkle and shine. So I played with some heat embossing today. Let me switch us over and we will jump in. Let's get rid of that crazy glare. Pull that back out in a minute. All right, so the card or the stamp set I'm going to be using today is the Wildflowers stamp set. This is one of my all-time favorite stamp sets. These silhouettes are absolutely stunning. Hey, everybody. I'm so glad everybody's jumping in. And so what I did was start stamping them out. And normally when I do this process of embossing my silhouettes before I ink blend, I just use regular clear embossing powder. But because I want this to be a little bit of a lighter looking card, more spring feeling, I thought that adding in some glitter would help to kind of make it pop. Versus just a plain clear. So I grabbed the Icicle embossing powder, which has that beautiful iridescent glitter. It's just clear, but I just love this so much. And it's crazy because it looks so stark now, and it's really fun to just see it in the black and white. And you could even use one of the colored glitter powders. Look, I have a couple. I have my little fun colored glitter embossing. These are all embossing glitter powders from Pink and Main. I'm not a hoarder or anything. So you could do the same process in either on white cardstock or like Pebble craft cardstock and just use a color glitter powder. But I really wanted to ink blend this to create a pretty kind of sunset vibe. So that is what we're going to be going for. I think we're still going to try to keep my colors a little pastel, again, to try to get more of a spring feeling versus a summer feeling. So, oh, Heather, I'm so excited. You got your fun Stardust glitter. You're going to be glitter pasting everything now, I can tell. I'm not a bad influence or anything. Okay, so normally, if you guys have hung out with me for these lives before, you know that I like to make my card bases first. With this one, I'm really torn with what I want my pattern paper to be. So I grabbed a couple options, but I want to get my ink blending done and my heat embossing done, and then we will tackle the card base at the end this time. So, right, there you go. I'm not a bad influence. I'm an enabler. I'm fine with that. So for this last one, I am going to be using a Misty just because it makes everything a lot easier for me when I'm doing this kind of embossing, because I am going to be embossing the black, and then I'm going to also be adding in an additional layer of ooh, guys, embossing ink. I tried doing the embossing with just the asphalt ink, and even though this is super juicy, however my process is, even when I was working kind of quickly, it wasn't giving me the crispness and like even coverage that I was looking for. So I found that if I did 2 layers of the black wiped it off and did one layer of the embossing powder, that I got absolutely beautiful coverage. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add a butterfly and one more flower to this empty spot. And I just have a piece of printer paper in here to keep my MISTI clean, even though that's honestly a joke at this point. It's not clean at all, but cleaner. Right, Jay? I didn't know about glitter embossing powder before Pink and Mane either, and now I'm addicted. So I think I want my butterfly there. And I saved this flower specifically for this spot because I think it just fits beautifully tucked right in there. You know what? Let's do 2 butterflies. Why not? We have the space. So we'll add one more little butterfly in there. Make sure my card's up in the corner. And I did prep this before, but I'm going to prep it again. I'm going in with the Magic Anti-Static brush, and I just like to give it a little tap and then dust that around. Okay, because anything that got cloudy from that, we'll be able to just wipe off with our microfiber towel when we're done. So I like to get my stuff prepped, even though when you're using the embossing ink, you definitely have a little more playtime before everything gets set. But I still like to kind of have my stations ready to go. And I have my glittering paper up here. So I'm going to also turn on my heat gun now. Hopefully that's not absolutely insane for you guys. If it is, let me know and I'll temporarily mute. So I'm going to go in with the black first. And I found that 2 stampings with this was really all that I needed to get a beautiful effect. Because I don't want to get any ink on my black ink on my embossing ink, I am using a chamois, but then I'm going to go in with my Pink and Mane microfiber just to make sure it's not wet. I'm going to go in with our embossing ink, and this is why having a MISTI or some kind of stamping platform is so helpful, because you want to be able to stamp all this right in the same spot or as close as possible as you can get. If you're worried, you can always do a little second pass. That works pretty good for me. The paper already knows it's its turn. Give it a second. Give it a little tap. Okay. All right, I'm going to mute just for a second while I bring the embossing gun up, and I'll be right back. Perfect. I love watching embossing powder melt. It's so satisfying. So that is our beautiful little garden scene filled with little fairy dust. Let me get these guys back on their stamps on their sheet. An organizer for the glitters? Not that I know of. The bins that I use are from Target. They're the Bright Room like collection with like their bathroom stuff. But I really like them because even though they don't have a lid, they stack really well. So I like that I can have them on my little cart and they just kind of stack and they fit really nicely. So if you're a Target-aholic like me, definitely something to keep an eye out for. But I don't know of a specific like organizer that's made for those. If anybody else knows, definitely leave us a comment because I would also be very intrigued by that. I'm going to go in with my microfiber and just give this a little dusting. I'm also not too concerned because that ink that we're going to add onto it in a minute is going to kind of help knock any of that back too. And I'm going to pull my glitter paper back out, my funnel, because we're going to do our ink blending. So for my night sky, I might have a touch of the black. I'm not sure yet, but this is the sunset vibe we're going for. But I am still thinking, like I said, a little more on the pastel side. So we'll see. You know what I didn't grab? I'm going to work from the bottom up, I think, today. Oh, yes, the stamp set for Pam, jumping in, is this one. It's Wildflowers 2. I think I forgot to say the 2 part earlier. It's Wildflowers 2, and I absolutely love it. Oh, the Ladybug set from the other day is the Ladybug Garden. It's linked in the description of those videos. So if you go to the description for that video on YouTube, Pam, you should be able to find it. If it's out or something, let me know and I can check with Michelle, but it should be there for you. So I'm tapping in with my construction orangey color first. I'm tapping down on my stamp pad, and then I'm tapping onto my paper because I want that softer, more pastel look. I don't know if it's like scientifically real, but I just feel like the springtime and fall sunsets are much softer, and the summer sunsets always feel much more vibrant to me. So that could just be in my head though. Hey, Mindy. Oh, I'm so excited. This is a great group tonight. Lots of people. So I'm gonna do the same thing with the pink, and I'm gonna go in really light-handed because I really want to make sure that I build this up slowly because this dress shop ink is so pigmented. And I have my panel pre-trimmed down to the it's 5 by 3 3/4. And I did that because I personally like when the brush or my blending tool catches on the edges and gives you that little bit of darker spot. If you don't like that, you could definitely leave your panel a little bigger and then go back in and trim that off afterwards. So I'm going to go in with just a little bit more of that construction just to make sure that we're getting a really beautiful smooth blend between those colors. We're good with that guy. Shift them over. Thanks, Heather. Me too. I just can't get enough of these stamps. So we're switching to Night Sky. And I'm trying to be mindful to leave enough room. If I don't have room for the black, that's probably just a sign that I didn't need it. but I definitely know that I need room for the blue. So I'm trying to not let one color kind of overpower the whole blend. And the same thing, we'll go back in with just a little bit more pink and just go over the spot where those two colors meet. It has been a week, guys. It has definitely been a week. I'm so grateful to have these lives to kind of look forward to and boost me along. So for my blue, my barber shop, I'm gonna go in with my Pink and Mane mini ergonomic brush that has this cute little holder. That's just because right now my blue ink is what's kind of filled this brush. So that's why I use the other brushes for the other colors. And then the ergonomic brush back for my blue. I really have to get on getting some more of these brushes because I do really love the effect of them and how much control you have on the amount of product. You can see I'm having to tap off even less to get that same very soft look as those bigger brushes. Hey, Terry, thanks for joining. Should be careful tapping my brush like that. I'm gonna make my dog bark. She's not feeling good this week either, so I think she's upstairs snuggling with one of my kids, which is rare. She's normally not allowed to do that. Something really quick that I just want to mention too, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but on some of these from where I've been pushing or with my paper warps a little bit, kind of on this one you can see it, you get sometimes a little white highlight where the embossing ink went somewhere that the black ink wasn't. But honestly, especially for that sunset look, I really love that effect because it just gives it that like back highlight, like the last rays of light are hitting it. So if you don't like that, I don't really have a great solution besides maybe trying to do as many of your stamps as at once as you can so that you're not getting any warping between heat applications. But I really like that. I just feel like I can use that to my advantage. So I don't think I'm going to add any of the black. I think that's going to make it too dark and too harsh. I really love this very beautiful and soft effect that we've gotten. One thing I am going to do, I think, is add some water droplets because these are water reactive inks and I have watercolored with them in the past and I love them for that. So I'm going to just take some clean water and a little brush. Just going to borrow it from this spray bottle. And we're just going to tap the ferrule of that brush. And I think this will give that kind of, honestly, that like pollen effect. Like there's just little things kind of floating around on our sky. Just blot that up a little bit and then zoom in so you guys can see how that just adds just like a little bit of texture, a little bit of spotting, nothing crazy, but I like that it just kind of breaks it up a little. If you didn't have the smoothest blend, you could also use that to disguise it a little bit, but I'm actually like absolutely in love and obsessed with this blend. Go us! Sorry if I just blew out anybody's headphones. Okay, so let's do our sentiment next, and then we'll go into the background and the card base. We'll just go completely opposite. So for the sentiment, I grabbed the Just Because stamp set, which I also did make sure to link in that description for you guys. So we could do that big one fits, the Just Because fits, but I was also thinking about doing one of these little guys, or even the Thinking of You. I kind of like the Thinking of You. So maybe we'll do Thinking of You, and then we'll do a little one on the inside. We'll just make this a whole week of making my mom happy and stamping a sentiment on the inside of our card. Maybe the You're My Kind of People, or Sending Paper Hugs. I like that. Let's do Thinking of You and Sending Paper Hugs. Let's get our missy back out. Pop that guy back down. I did not pre-plan this fitting so nicely, so that must be a good sign, right? That it's meant to be. Yep, that's straight. That's good. We'll do a black sentiment just because of that. We do have all that black ink on our silhouettes. Interesting. Okay. I think there's a little mark on my stamp on that Y. That's okay. We can fill it in a second with a pen. We will not be deterred. Thinking of You. I love that. Oh, guys, Pam wants to know if anybody has favorite ink colors. Let her know in the comments what your favorites are. All right, and then here's my dilemma. I had a feeling it wouldn't be this one, but I grabbed these papers, which are all from the Butterfly Kisses set, because I just really love how like soft and springy in general that set is, that paper pack. So I grabbed this really beautiful kind of watercolor green with the darkest at the bottom, thinking maybe that would make sense to be at the bottom of the garden. And I also grabbed this really pretty kind of like woven canvasy material. So we could do woven or green. Honestly, I don't really love either of them. I know that wasn't the response I was supposed to have. You know what is a good tried and true favorite is the well then but that doesn't look springy anymore. Is the year round. That's not bad. Oh, I don't like the pink. Do we have an orange? Definitely not the orange. Yeah, I agree. I like the texture of the linen, but not it's too gray. We just built this very cheerful, happy. I'm thinking maybe that purple though. I think I like the purple. I think I like the purple stripes. Yeah, cool. Me too, Kendra. Let's do the purple stripe, I think. But now I have to finish, oh, purple polka dot. I have to finish some card with that woven texture one because I just love it. Yeah, I don't trust myself to stamp it straight. Let's go in and we'll stamp our sentiment with the corresponding night sky purple ink. We're going to do Sending Paper Hugs. Maybe it would help if you could actually see it. Guys, I'm on a roll with getting these straight today. Yeah, Belinda, I think the blue does make it pop more, but I think it makes it look not springy. That's my concern. I do agree that the contrast of the blue does really make it stand out, but to me, for some reason, that pushes it to summer. So I definitely agree with you. But for the purpose I'm looking for here, I think I'm going to stick with the purple this time. But then maybe in the summer, when it gets a little warmer, we'll have to do a more vibrant, popping summer version, and we can do it on blue. All right, so let's get our card base paper ready. I always cut my 4 1/4 first, so I have a bigger scrap. And then 5 1/2. Okay. Go in with our broken here today. Go in with liquid glue, the easy squeeze glue. And I made my card base myself with some of the Ice Rink 110-pound cardstock, which is also what I used for my ink blending base. It's so funny because some of those papers in that pad like are just so beautiful and don't have the butterflies, right? Like some of the ones that the butterflies are on, right? Like that is beautiful. That has butterflies, but if you don't like the butterflies, you just use the opposite side. Okay, so we have our sending paper hugs, and you guys know what I'm gonna do with this. You already know. We're foam taping it. I have to. Not a choice at this point. It needs dimension, and we only have our one panel. The card God said so. The crafty goddess, whatever. Just using the card base to try to measure out a little bit. Give me a little picker. I'm so glad you guys are loving this card. Me too. This is one of my favorite kind of cards to make. It's a little low, but I'm fine with it. All right, and then one thing that I wasn't sure if I wanted to do, but now that I see it, I definitely want to, is add some of the clear glitter enamel dots. So these are, as opposed to last week, we used the white glitter enamel dots. These are completely clear, so they let whatever color you've blended underneath peek through, and I just love that. And I think it'll really help enhance that kind of the speckles that we created with our water. I think it'll help give that kind of magical floaty look. So, hey Virginia, I am live. I'm so glad you were able to make it in. So I just want to pop in a couple of these. And I think it's fun to have them kind of overlap. It's just like little magical bubbles or something. I could make one down here. There. There we go. So it just gives kind of more of a dewdrop, just really soft, definitely on the more subtle side, but I think it just ties in all of that beautiful glitter that we used. Uh, I just love it so much. So thinking of you, sending paper hugs. You know what? We still have a couple minutes from what I was shooting for. So one other thing I think would be cute. Let's stamp one of our flowers into the card. Because why not? Oh, man down, man down. Hmm. Or maybe instead of a flower, let's just do one more little butterfly. That'll be cute. Yeah, that's good. That's a great compromise. Less dangerous, I think. And I think I'm going to bring in that pink just to change it up. Yep, one is good. Wonderful. All right. Now I have to control my too much gene and reel myself back in and know that that is enough. You still have to do your taxes this month, right? April? We're almost in April. Can you guys believe that? We're almost in April. Yuck. I love the spring and the summer, but the year's just going by way too fast. All right, so there you go. There's our Tuesday garden and our Thursday garden. Happy to hang out together. I am so glad that we got to hang out and make these fun gardens. There we go. So yeah, I hope that you are feeling super inspired to get a little inky, right? I wrote inky fingers. They're really not that bad, just a couple little spots. But I hope that you feel inspired to create something fun, something that makes you smile, whether that is with markers or colored pencils or watercolor or ink blending, with dry embossing, heat embossing, and obviously don't be scared to combine them because we just covered all the things this week and I love the results of them all. So I am so glad that you came to hang out with me. If you haven't already, make sure that you go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube, or make sure that you're following Pink and Main on Facebook so that you catch all of the updates and you get to see all the fun stuff and lives. I know Mommy Lay has been doing her lives too, once or twice a week. I saw some of hers yesterday stamping with like one stamp in multiple colors to make a custom like pattern paper looking background. It was beautiful. So if you've missed any of those lives or my lives, definitely make sure, like Virginia said, you can go back and rewatch or replay. And yeah, I can't believe when I see you next, it will be April, but it will be, and we will get into some fun stuff next week. So I will see you back here then on Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And until then, happy crafting.